But what about, so all this says is that at least one coefficient, one slope coefficient is different from 0. It doesn't say which one or whether all of them are, okay, we don't know. So we need to test individual coefficients. So there are two places where you get these p-values. So if you go to SAS, and you have to be very careful with this. Okay? When you see the okay, so here is our parameters, each variable including the dummy variables, you get your estimate, you get your standard error, your t-value and all that, okay? So which is what we copy pasted here. And if you look at the p-values, okay, of course we're not going to be worried about intercept, only these. So you see that p-value for weight and p-value for kilometer or 0, close to 0, so they are significant. But when it comes to fuel type, you see fuel type, that the first one I think is diesel, the second one is CNG. So what does this mean? Okay, does this mean that fuel type diesel is significant and CNG is not significant? So in which case would you throw CNG out and keep only diesel? But how can you do that? Because they both come from a single variable called fuel type. So you either keep fuel type in or you throw fuel type out. You cannot say, I'm going to keep fuel type diesel, but I'll throw the CNG out. But what about petrol here? We don't even have that variable because that's the one that we left out. So you cannot look at individual dummy variables for a nominal variable and do the testing. So you have to look at the dummy variables derived from a nominal variable as a group. You either keep all of them or you throw all of them out. Okay, so that's why SAS gives you, okay, type 3 analysis of effects. Analysis of effects, it takes each effect here. Okay, you can think of effect as one predictor. So for each predictor before any dummy variables are made. So we have 3 effects here. Fuel type is one effect, okay, that has 2 dummy variables. Weight is one effect, and it's an interval variable, so no dummy variable for that. That's just one variable. And weight, kilometer and weight, just one variable. So it gives you, okay, how many degrees of freedom. If it is a nominal variable, it will tell you the degrees of freedom represents how many dummy variables we needed for that nominal variable. So there are 3 levels. So we got 2 degrees of freedom, 2 dummy variables. So effect is degrees of freedom is 2. Kilometer and weight, they are just interval variables. So we have only 1 degrees of freedom, and then the sum of squares associated with that, the F value and the probability. So this is what we need, okay, to test individual significance, not these. Okay. Don't look at, if all you have are interval variables, then this will work. That is, this will work. But if you have nominal in there, you'll really use. So as a general rule, you always use the effects analysis. So that way you won't go wrong. Okay. So here again, let's copy that. Okay, so copy paste that there. Since we set it, okay, let's get rid of this. All right. So now we have the stuff that we need for testing. Okay, so again, I'm going to do some cheating here. I'm going to copy paste these. Okay, so these are the hypotheses for fuel type. So this first one is fuel type, and there are 2 two dummy variables. So significance of fuel type is whether all the coefficients related to that dummy variable, to that effect, if all of them are zero, then it's insignificant. If at least one is different from zero, so that's why here we have two of them, one for diesel and one for CNG. Beta sub 3 is for kilometer and beta sub 4 is for weight. Okay, so conclusion, okay, they are all less than, the p-value is less than 0. I'm sorry, p-value is very small, p-value is less than alpha. You know, usually we assume 5% alpha, right? So reject HO significant. The effect is significant. So that's the, let's move that out of the way. That's the conclusion for all of them.